Hi guys, welcome back.
Today we're going to be talking about Addison's disease. Two of our boys, Logan and Jason, both have Addison's disease, and we would like to talk about this subject and bring awareness to it.
All right, so we'd like to tell you a little bit about what happened. The boys had just turned 6 years old, and it was January of 2015. One morning, Rachel found Jason seizing in his bed.
Yeah.
Go ahead, you tell what happened.
Very scary. I heard a noise in the monitor, and he was making like a grunting noise, and I walked in, and he was seizing, and picked him up, brought him to a different room, tried to wake him, no response. So called 911, and they told me to, of course, just turn him on his side and things like that. And they came, he was still unresponsive. Rushed him to the hospital. He was unresponsive for an hour. We did not know what was going on because he hadn't had any problems before. I mean, he had had some issues, with sickness before that, like he had had the flu. So that was the scariest part. And we get to the hospital and they still couldn't bring him around, and finally gave him, I think it was like sugar water, wasn't it?
Yeah, they gave him some kind of a sugar because they noticed his sugar levels were low.
Yeah, were really low. So they gave him that, and then he came around and said, "Mommy," and woke up and was still, of course, out of it. And so we stayed
He ended up in ICU for 9 days.
Right.
They ran mass blood panels on him.
Sodium levels were low, couldn't bring him up.
Yeah, everything kept just bottoming out. They kept giving him sodium. They kept giving him sugar, everything like that. And they noticed his potassium levels were off. His electrolyte levels were all off. And they couldn't get anything to regulate. So they kept running 12 blood draws on him a day, just running mass panels trying to figure out what was wrong with him. The one thing you have to understand is Addison's disease is not common in children. Okay, you're either born with it, or typically it's women over the age of like 30 that get it. So for him to not be born with it and to develop it at the age of 5 or 6, he would have been 6.
Just turned.
Is really odd.
Yeah.
Now, the fact that Jason is also a twin made this even more interesting. Jason and Logan are identical twins. So they were really concerned with, okay, if Jason has it, there's a good chance Logan has it as well. At that point, Logan wasn't showing any symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
However, we did end up about 6 months later.
Well, and then this was when we need to tell you about all the signs and the symptoms and what you should look for.
So what exactly were the signs and symptoms that we saw?
Before Jason got sick with this flu virus that he had, come to find out when we were in the hospital, they tested, he did have a flu virus. So before that, he had symptoms of like a flu. He would every now and again have just a fever, and then you'd be sick to his stomach. Right. So I thought like it would be like 12-hour or 24-hour bug or something like that. So I didn't know that it was something more serious.
And he was lethargic all the time.
Yeah.
He was all the time falling asleep.
Sleepy.
He had a really nice tan, and come to find out that is one of the symptoms to look for. Was
discoloration.
Yeah, the pigment of your skin actually gets a lot darker.
Yeah.
So that was another thing that should have been a clue to us at that point. We just thought, he looked really tan.
He was picky. He didn't want to eat.
He craved crackers.
Yeah, that was one thing. And I thought that was because he was sick to his stomach, from like a flu.
Right. Come to find out now, though, it makes sense. When your levels drop like that, you crave sodium. Mm-hmm. And so that's one of the things that we watch for now with the boys. If they start craving salt, and wanting crackers and salty type items, that's a good sign that they're not getting what they need.
So they said, to be on the lookout for Logan because he was identical twin. So we started seeing the symptoms from Logan. He was laying around, lethargic, picking at his food, not eating his food,
and
sleeping.
We immediately took him and had him tested again, and sure enough, he had it.
Yeah, Logan had it then.
So that was about 6 months after Jason was in the hospital. So
we were on the lookout for what to do.
Yeah, so Jason was in the ICU, though, for 9 days. And they finally were able to diagnose, thanks to a wonderful doctor who had actually been out for several days, and when he came back, he recognized it right away.
The skin.
Yes. And it was all the doctors wanted to come in and check out this case because it was such an odd case.
Mm-hmm.
So come to find out, what actually caused the boys to get Addison's was they had an autoimmune disease. Basically, the body attacked the adrenal gland, and Addison's is what we call adrenal insufficiency, is what the name is for it. So the adrenal gland produces cortisol, which is basically the hormone in your body that regulates what most people would know it for, was that whole fight or flight feeling that you get. And anytime that your body's under stress, it causes it uses cortisol. Okay, your body makes cortisol every night. You have the most cortisol in your body at 8 a.m. that you're going to have all day. Okay, and then every night it makes more. Mm-hmm. So they were not making cortisol. So cortisol also affects a lot of other things in your body. So let's talk about some of the other things that it can affect. It affects how your body breaks down proteins, fats, carbohydrates. Mm-hmm. It affects your sugar levels, your sodium levels, your potassium levels, your electrolyte levels, pretty much everything in your body. So if you're not having that, if you're not making cortisol, your body isn't going to stay regulated very well. Okay. So they end up putting the boys on medicine. Mm-hmm. You have Cortef, which is basically the same as hydrocortisone. And then you have Florinef, which is also the drug is called fludrocortisone.
Mm-hmm. Which is like the sodium.
Right. So fludrocortisone regulates their sodium levels.
They get that once a day.
Mm-hmm. And then the hydrocortisone, or the Cortef, mm-hmm. they get 3 times a day. So normally they take that morning, evening, and night.
Mm-hmm. And afternoon and night, yeah.
Yeah, afternoon and night. And so your body, though, if they get any kind of a sickness or any kind of stress, even just stressing about something like schoolwork or something going on in their life, like if it creates any kind of stress for them, they need more of that, okay? Because
like exercise, like just running outside, like for a normal child, like that.
So anytime that their body is in stress, where it's either one, they're worried about something, mm-hmm. or 2, they're exerting themselves a lot, they burn more of it. And so, therefore, they need a higher dose. So we have to do what they call stress dosing at that mm-hmm. point, which means you give them extra medication to help them feel okay. Now, if they don't get enough medication, what happens is they actually become kind of groggy and just they can't focus and lethargic. Mm-hmm. And take, for example, we've had where, they've forgotten to take their pill before. Yeah. And they will... I'll find one of them sleeping on the couch mm-hmm. in the middle of the afternoon, which is odd because they're normally go all day.
That's just one dose.
That's one dose, and it just knocked out. Yeah. So at that point, it's like, hey, did you not take your pill? And yes, then we noticed that, yes, they did not take their pill. So it's a very real thing. And so they can function the rest of their life with this, as long as it is managed. Now, one of the concerns with this disease is, how does their body handle sickness? Mm-hmm. Okay? Sickness knocks them for a loop. What we can normally, as us, well, you have a thyroid condition, so mm-hmm. you have kind of a weakened immune system as well. But for me, like, I can get over something super quick. However, the boys, when they get it, it normally takes them 2 to 3 times as long for them to get over it as what it does for me. And anytime that they run a fever, we have to stress dose. Anytime that they have any kind of sickness, we have to stress dose. The scariest part is if they have a flu, mm-hmm. or as in like they're vomiting,
or influenza A,
or influenzas. C. Yes, anything like that that's viral or anything like that. Mm-hmm. That's the scary part. So if we can't keep their medication in them, their levels crash, like very quickly. They crash. So that means then they actually give us it's Solucortef is what it's called.
Yeah,
it's an injection.
Yeah, the injection.
And if for some reason they start seizing, we actually give them an injection, and then you immediately take them to the hospital.
And once the sad part is, on ambulances, they do not
our ambulance here does not carry
the shot. So we're thankful that the hospital gives us the shot, so we can give them, and they can administer, or we can administer it ourselves.
Correct.
To them if they do start seizing. And that is like what? A kind of a dose, a huge amount.
Yeah, it's like 100 milligrams. And typically they only take like 0.5 per time that they take it. So, 5 milligrams per time.
Yeah.
Right.
But like we had talked in other videos that we would, talk about this subject, because I had said before, that I was a germaphobe or whatever.
Correct.
But the reason why is because of this. I mean,
it's to protect the boys. So their immune system is compromised. When they talk about people, how, be careful, especially of kids and adult or older people that have compromised immune systems, they fall in that category because of their weak immune system. They can't kick things like everybody else can. Simple things to us where somebody like me would think,
well, you could
get
over something in like 3 to 4 days.
Right.
For them, it would be a week, if not longer.
Or
and
potentially
they would end up in the hospital.
Potentially in the hospital, ICU, or even worse, possibly death. I mean, it's nothing to play with.
We become almost like bears and hibernate in the winter because of it, and it's sad, for the boys, because they can't do things like other children would do normally because of getting the sickness, but they understand, because when they do get sick, they know what it feels like, and it's 10 times worse than what, normal person's immune system would be.
And the boys don't enjoy it at all.
And they don't want that, of course. No. So, yeah.
Our life has changed over the last 5 years with how we handle things, and we've tried to do what we can to deal with it. And even just the thing of, we don't want the boys to not have social interaction and all that as well. We've tried to find other ways through, making sure the boys can FaceTime their friends or Skype their friends, or like still have that interaction with people, but it may not be face to face. So, and the biggest thing is just getting people to understand that people that have compromised immune systems, it's a real thing. Be understanding. Don't just lash out at people because you think that, oh, well, they're just making this up. No, it's not. It's a real thing. It costs us money. It costs us, time in the hospital. It costs the boys their health. Like, just so somebody can come around.
Just an influenza can be deadly.
Exactly. So people need to keep that in mind when you are
just like
going out when you're sick.
one of the reasons that I took the boys out of school was because of this too, and I now homeschool
as well as they were also
there was
having
other issues. I'm not
there
saying
was
that was
other
just
issues with the school
system,
system.
But that was one of the reasons too that I thought, well, that would be much better on them if I.
Well, one of the issues that we did have was, okay, so in the state we live in, they only allow you to miss 10 days of school.
Yeah.
Well, 2 of the boys having that,
we were past.
You could easily blow through 10 days of schools if they got sick 2 or 3 times.
Past that time, yeah.
So therefore, and then the state starts coming and saying, hey, well, why are your kids missing so much school? Yeah. Well, because they have a compromised immune system, and it takes them a lot there's nothing we can do about that.
Yeah.
So that was another struggle that we went through as well with it.
Right.
Hope you guys find this at least a little bit informative.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're trying not to go too long on this video like we've done in some of our past ones.
We might make another one and have the boys talk about it as well.
Right.
And have them, give their input on it as well. So
we just wanted to give everybody a heads up, and this is what we've dealt with over the past 5 years.
And hopefully this will be informative to help somebody else if their child's having these symptoms and they don't know. Because this is, like we said, very rare. It's not something that's common. So doctors don't normally look for something like this right away. So maybe us talking about it.
Well, and also it is prevalent in women. So, if women watching this video, if you've noticed some of these same symptoms, maybe go get checked out.
Yeah.
Go see an endocrinologist and see. They can run some very quick tests and diagnose it. So we appreciate you guys watching. Thanks again for subscribing. unfortunately, with the way everything's gone now since COPPA happened, we cannot see unless people have their privacy settings set to public. We cannot see who subscribes to our channel, just so you guys know. We've been watching, hoping to be able to see who those last 3 subscribers were, and haven't been able to see it. So unless your privacy settings are set to public, there is no way for us to be able to see it. But go over, check us out on Instagram, drop us a note, tell us hi. The boys love hearing from you guys on there. So we love you guys. Hope you guys have a great week, and we will see you in the next video.
Bye.
Bye.